How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another Celic video. So last time I was trying to take the timing belt off in the water pump, but now I have a change of plans. So like I said, I wanted to change the timing belt, but I'm actually going to leave it. And no, it's not because I can't get the bolt out, because if I really wanted to, I could. But I'm actually looking at the condition of it, and it's actually brand new. It would kind of be a waste for me to use that brand new timing belt on this, and it's not, this timing belt on it isn't cracked or like anything, and it's got new teeth, so it's not gonna skip. So me putting that new timing belt on just isn't gonna make a difference, I don't think. Plus, this engine has 160,000 miles, and this had to have been at least replaced once, so I think the engine's gonna blow long before this timing belt ever breaks. But the water pump is the original one. It looks just like the original one, so that I'll change, but I don't need to take the timing belt. I don't need to take the timing belt off for that. So I'm gonna flush the radiator right now first before I do anything, and then I'll get started. So in order to drain the radiator coolant out, there's a little drain plug right there on the side of the radiator, and I need to loosen that and get all the fluid out. And my jack's right underneath it, so this is gonna be interesting. So I drained all of the coolant. There was nothing in it. There's a bunch of rust water, but that was it. How was my car not overheating? I don't understand. I literally drove it on the highway. It didn't overheat. I don't get this. And I let this thing run hours without end. That's not good. But it didn't overheat. And I'm like, and my heat in the car worked. Maybe it was just sucking in hot air from the engine, but there's got to be coolant flowing through. This is all that came out. I don't get it. That's weird. So since that's all the coolant that came out, I'm going to start taking off the water pump, I guess, since that's it, which is freaking weird. So I just got the old water pump out. There are minor differences with the new and the old water pump, but I think the new one is actually remanufactured better. To the point where I can actually get at the bolt holes. The way the metal's placed, I feel like it's going to be easier. This is really loose, and spinning this one is like tighter, so I don't know if this was actually even working, because it spins like really freely. There's like hardly any resistance. The gasket was still good. This is actually a metal gasket, so we got a Felpro one on there now. Don't know which one's better, but that was a bit, like, not a lot of coolant came out at all, but that was a huge pain, because one of the bolts, I don't know if you can see it, is like at the timing belt, like right where the timing belt is positioned. So I had to like one wrench at a time get it. So I'm gonna put this one back in, and then, you know, do some stuff, and then we'll be all good. So I put the belt back on and everything. I put the belt back on. Yeah, I wish. I need to put the belts back on, but the new water pump is on. And the next thing I need to do is I need to get the belts for like the accessories, like air conditioner and the water pump and stuff like that. And they're actually not in very good condition. All of them except for one of them is cracked, but I think I'm just gonna get all three. I put the engine back together already. All the new belts are on it. The air conditioner condenser's back on. Alternator, power steering. What else? Oh, the new water pump is on. I think it's been a while since I like made the continuation of this video. So I think in the last video part, I put the water pump on, if I'm not mistaken. But now I'm installing OBX radiator hoses, which are just high temp silicone hoses. I'm not just replacing them with regular rubber ones. And I have a Mishimoto thermostat. Will it help cooling? maybe, I don't know. But when I drained the coolant in the last, not episode, it was like the beginning part of this video, when I changed the coolant, or when I drained the coolant, there wasn't a lot in there, and what was in there was like orange and rusty looking. It wasn't even, didn't really even look like coolant. It looked more like water. So I'm going to install the new thermostat, and I'm going to put the radiator hoses, I'm going to put the radiator hoses on in this video. So let's get started. So these are the radiator hoses and the thermostat. As you could say, it says Mishimoto 71 degrees Celsius on it. And these are the radiator hoses. They look a little bit small in diameter right at the ending. I'm going to see if these are even the right ones for the engine, because I didn't even check that yet. So it appears in fact that these are the right hoses. Now I need to get that lower radiator hose off, and that's going to be a little bit of a bitch. So I might need to jack up the front of the car a little bit and take that skid plate off. But other than that, let's start with the top radiator hose, because if I'm not mistaken, oh wait, no. Okay, so this is where the, see where this sensor is? I think, pretty sure that's a coolant temp sensor. This is actually where the thermostat is, and where I'm going to need to be replacing it. So I will start by taking these hoses off, and then I'll focus on that clip down there after. So I took the top radiator hose off, and now I took this off. I took the temperature sensor plug off. Now the next step I'm going to do is, should I take the thermostat housing off first, or should I take the radiator hose off first? Alright, I'm going to take the thermostat housing off first, then I'm going to take that bottom radiator hose out. So I took the old thermostat out, and as you can see, where is it? As you can see right there, the old one says 82 degrees on it. Well, 82 degrees Celsius, which means that it opens up later than this one, which opens up at 71 degrees Celsius, which means this will open up earlier and let more coolant flow into the engine before it gets to a certain operating temperature. Sometimes these throw engine codes because it realizes something in the coolant temperature sensor, but we should be alright. These thermostats are the same width and diameter for the top hat and the bottom, but they're look completely different. Like this one has a pointed top, this top's flat. This looks like it has a thicker copper core. This one's double spring, and the spring is bigger. So there's a lot of different thing about this that make the temperature difference. The reason why this is 71 and this one's 82 or whatever. So yeah, the only thing it didn't come with, the new thermostat, is the thermostat gasket. This one's really old and just worn and destroyed. So I actually have to get coolant and another thermostat gasket, which I hope they have at the store. So I'm gonna go pick it up. And when I pick it up, I'm gonna continue. So I'm back and I got the two gaskets. Now I think I actually made a mistake. I was expecting there to be a gasket on the back of this and to the housing, because this is the thermostat housing. I was expecting there to be a gasket in between these two, but there isn't. There's only that O-ring gasket that goes around the thermostat. So when I went to go ask for a housing gasket, I'm like, okay, that looks fine, and I go to match it up, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's not even close. This says water inlet, so that's actually, I'm pretty sure that's for this right here, which is the inlet into the engine this way. I was thinking about returning it, but no, I mean, if it's just two bolts, I might as well replace it. I wasn't even considering replacing it, so I guess we got another gasket. Cool. Okay, so I was actually wrong again. I took this off, and that's not where it's supposed to go. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep this, because I don't really think that's important to me right now. I don't really need it, so I'm gonna re-silicone this and put it back on, I guess. So I put the O-ring around the thermostat, and now I have to just put it back. So this little tiny I'm guessing it's like a pressure relief thing. Has to be facing the top like that because that's how the old thermostat was. So I'm gonna put it back in just like that. Now before I put this housing back on, I'm gonna take a piece of sandpaper and just clean up the end so it has a good mating surface with the hose. Mating surface with the hose. Now when you tighten these, you really have to tighten them evenly and do not over tighten them. That's good. I'm sure there's a torque spec for them, but you know, small bolts like this is like you can feel when they're about to give, so just don't get to that point because this is like cast iron and you don't, not cast iron, aluminum, and aluminum strips threads, so you have to be careful. So that's good and on there, that's not leaking. I'm gonna plug that back in before I forget. This could use a little bit of a trim. Once I have it on upside down. Oh, you know what? I didn't put the these on. Make sure you always put these on first. I'm actually gonna take this off real quick. I don't like how there's like a little kink in it. So I'm gonna like actually overlap this on the, there's like a little backing plate thing on the top of this inlet manifold housing, and so the tube doesn't go on a little more, so I'm just going to actually overlap that a tiny bit. Just put it on the same exact way as I did before. I'm actually going to see if I have new clamps before I do that. I'm going to save these ones because you never know when you'll need them as backup. Alright. So I trimmed it a little, it took a little bit of that kink out, so it's not that bad. I'm assuming once it fills up with coolant, it'll expand more and get rid of that kink a little more, but pretty good. So I clamped it on. That's really tight, that is not going anywhere, and it should last her way past the lifespan of this engine. So I'm going to continue with the bottom radiator hose. My God. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, I shaved. And I think I showed my face before when I was shaved. I don't know if I look better shaved or without shaved. Maybe if I lose a couple pounds, I'll look better without shaved. But who knows? So, I installed the silicone hoses. Extra high performance, plus 30 horsepower you've seen gains. This 1.8 liter 7 AFE, I don't know, man, it's pretty sick if you ask me. Alright, so both the hoses are installed. I took the factory under tray out. It wasn't really doing what it was supposed to do. It was just collecting water. So, shit. I'll probably do that trick where I cut this and cover, just to cover the transmission. Actually, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that real quick. So all I have to do now is put the coolant in and bleed the system. This is a speed bleeder. You find the right adapter that fits on the cap and you put this on. This opens it so coolant goes in, and then when it's done you can close it and take it off without spilling any coolant. So you can put the coolant in next, but I had that skid plate thing trick that I did in the last video, and I like tried doing it on this one, but I actually broke the bolt as I was tightening it, so I'll figure out how to get that out on another date so I can put that little plastic plate in, and then I'll screw it in. But for now, let's put the coolant in and bleed it. So I poured the coolant in, and there's just a little bit sitting in here, so I'm guessing I'm going to have to pour more in. I have to just wait for the engine to warm up so the thermostat opens, so it'll suck all that coolant in. And from what I'm seeing right now, it does not look like there are any leaks of any kind, so... And there's definitely fluid in these hoses, so let's check it out and see if everything's good. try that again. Hopefully that works. Better, but still not quite where I need it to be. So I think I know what's causing my idle to do this. I actually have a leaky injector. As you can see where the injectors sit, it's all dry, and then this one actually is pouring out fuel. Every single time I give it gas, it like sputters and a little drop of fuel comes out of the injector. So I need new injector O-rings, which I will order as soon as possible. But even though it's engine sputtering, I still have like a really high idle, and I don't know why. I wonder if it's, I can't mess with this, can I? No, that's solid. So I'm wondering why it's idling so high. I'm waiting for it to idle down. It didn't. I just ended up turning it off, but I'm not getting any engine codes and it's running smooth. I don't see a problem. I'm gonna check the oil, make sure that's up, make sure I didn't lose anything or something like that. That wouldn't really affect idle, but I'm gonna finish letting it bleed the coolant and then see if I can diagnose this little sputtering high RPM idle issue. So I was able to get the car running really good. That little like skip, I guess you could say, it's not really a misfire. It's almost like a sputter. I feel like it's an injector. It's like running, and then a little spit, because you can feel it in the RPMs. So I'm gonna do new O-rings on the injectors. That's the next thing I'm gonna do. And I was hearing a rattling noise coming from my engine bay, and I'm like, holy shit, my engine's knocking. I'm like, it's not doing it when I'm idling, but when I start moving, I'm like, fuck, my engine's knocking. So it was just this little thing flapping up and down because I forgot to bolt it down, and it scared the absolute shit out of me because I thought I just fucked my engine. So yeah, so I'm just ending off today's video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm happy I'm getting a lot of progress done on it. For the amount of work I'm putting into it, I feel like it should be making more than 110 horsepower, but most of the stuff I'm doing is just maintenance stuff, because getting it running good, to me, is more important than making a crap ton of power. I could just be one of those like YouTubers that say, screw it, we're just gonna put a turbo on it and not even tune it and just dump as much boost into it as we can until the engine blows. But I'm actually trying to keep this fairly reliable. Now, the reason why I think that the injector, my camera's gonna die, so I have to make this quick. The reason why I think that it's the injector that's skipping is because whenever it skips, it's a tiny little white puff of smoke, just a little white puff. And usually what a white puff of smoke means is that your engine's running too lean, which means it's not getting enough fuel. So, if it was black smoke, that might mean that my engine may be on its way out. There is a lot of water and stuff that like sat in the muffler over time, like coming out of the catalytic converter and stuff like that. So that does cause white smoke as well. But every single time it like does a little tiny skip, it's just a little puff of white smoke. So which leads to telling me that one of the cylinders isn't getting enough fuel. It could be that, or, you know, I'll let it run for a little, I'll go through the gears and I'll take the spark plugs out and check the spark plugs and see if they're black or running good, or have like a white powder on them, which means they're running too lean. But that injector up top, because I knew I smelt fuel, it's not leaking now, which is weird. It was only leaking when it was winter time. It's spring now, and the weather is like 70-ish degrees. It was only really getting that smell of fuel when it was winter and it was cold and it was like 30. I think because the rubber expanded in the O-ring that it's not leaking as bad as it did when it was winter. But I still believe that it's an issue because all the other O-rings are dry and that one has like a wet spot around it. So I'm still just going to replace all of them, not just the one. And then I'm going to see if that sputter goes away. If it doesn't, a buddy that I know has one of those snap-on scanners that you can see all the injector pulses and stuff like that. And I mean, nothing's throwing any codes. The engine's running really good. I don't really see a problem, or hear a problem other than that little sputter. So I'm happy. The coolant's bled. It's running great. I noticed that the thermostat did open at a sooner time than the OEM one, so that's good. That's working. So yeah, I'm excited and I'm happy. It's not leaking oil anymore. I changed the gaskets. No, it's not dripping coolant. It's running really good. So I think that's it for this episode. I think that's everything, right? I covered most of the stuff. Yeah, okay. Alright. Bye. Gotta do the rock on thing. It's my... Don't worry, it's not a gang sign. I'm not part of a gang. Or am I? No, I'm not. Peace out, everyone.